Stop what you're doing because the footage that just hit the internet has officially broken the laws of reality TV, common decency, and probably a few city ordinances. Yes, you read that right. LIL Scrappy has been arrested after a brutal, on-camera beatdown of none other than Mr. Drama Deluxe himself, Stevie J. And no, this isn't your typical love and hip-hop argument with dramatic hand gestures and flying wigs. We're talking fists, screams, viral footage, police sirens, and the kind of chaos that makes even Mona Scott-Chung say, okay, maybe we went too far. But wait, was it self-defense? A setup? A drunken clout stunt gone wrong? Or just years of reality TV tension finally exploding like a bad remix? Because the footage isn't just messy, it's history-making. The internet's on fire, VH1 producers are crying into their storyboards, and Stevie J's dental records might never be the same again. So grab your popcorn, hide your exes, and cancel your peace of mind. Because what just went down in that Atlanta nightclub is the kind of scandal you'll be telling your group chat about for weeks. This isn't just another brawl. It's the moment reality TV ate itself alive. Let's get into it. So here's what really went down. According to multiple shady sources, fan-recorded videos, and one very emotional bottle girl named Keshia with the lashes. The chaos erupted inside an exclusive Atlanta nightclub known for overpriced drinks, underwhelming security, being the unofficial playground for washed-up reality stars looking for a second chance. Both LIL Scrappy and Stevie J showed up that night for what was supposed to be a surprise reunion shoot for Love and Hip Hop, but surprise doesn't even begin to cover it. We're talking the kind of energy that makes Sue's network look like PBS cameras were rolling. The crowd was loud, and according to insiders, you could feel the tension in the air like expired Henny fumes. Scrappy, usually loud, arrived quiet and calculated, wearing all black like he was either going to a funeral or planning one. Stevie J, on the other hand, was his usual self-grinning, flexing, and running his mouth like Twitter fingers in real life. Witnesses claim it started off civil. A nod here, a cold handshake there. But then, boom, Stevie allegedly leaned in and whispered something so disrespectful Scrappy's left eye twitched. Nobody heard what was said exactly, but from the look on Scrappy's face, it must have been somewhere between "you fell off and I still run this asterisk, and then chaos. Like a scripted moment that was definitely not supposed to be. Scripted. LIL Scrappy lunged across the VIP booth like he'd been waiting 10 seasons for this exact moment. Drinks went flying. Security froze. Stevie didn't even have time to pull his sunglasses off before Scrappy's fist connected with his jaw in glorious, slow motion, Instagram live clarity. The music stopped mid-chorus. Phones flew into the air. One girl screamed, "World Star," like it was 2012 again. By the time security decided to grow a backbone, it was too late. Scrappy had already landed 2 more punches and was yelling something that sounded like "you've been fake," or "you ruin everybody's bag." We're still decoding it. And of course, someone filmed the whole thing from 3 different angles. The video was uploaded faster than VH1 could draft a legal statement. In less than 10 minutes, Scrappy, Snaps, Stevie J, KOD, and Love and Hip Hop Live Massacre were all trending. TikTok was flooded with dramatic reenactments. Twitter turned into a digital courtroom. Instagram influencers started picking sides like it was the Super Bowl of toxicity. One user wrote, "This is better than every reunion episode combined." Another said, "Stevie finally got what he deserved. Karma came with fists today." The fans were eating it up like Popeyes after a hangover. But here's where it gets messier. Within the hour, TMZ rolled up with flashing cameras. Scrappy was arrested on site outside the club in full view of a crowd chanting "Free Scrappy," while holding phones like protest signs. The man didn't resist arrest. In fact, he looked straight into the camera as the cuffs clicked and smirked like he was proud of the mess. His shirt was ripped, his chains tangled, and his energy unbothered. Stevie J, meanwhile, was reportedly seen icing his jaw while yelling, at producers that this wasn't part of the script. Someone said he was crying. We won't confirm that. But we're not denying it either, according to a definitely real and not at all made-up anonymous producer. The entire fight was not supposed to happen, but the crew caught it all in 4K. We've had fights before. The source said, but this was war. And not TV war, this was personal. By sunrise, every entertainment blog had a different theory. Was this a publicity stunt gone rogue? Did Stevie provoke him on purpose for clout? Or was Scrappy finally done being quiet about the real drama behind the scenes? Guys, if you think this is just about a few jabs in a club, think again. Whispers started immediately. Unpaid contracts, stolen royalties, Stevie allegedly sabotaging one of Scrappy's biggest deals back in 2019. A certain producer mysteriously pulling out of a Scrappy music project right after a dinner meeting with Stevie J. Coincidence? Please, this is reality TV. Coincidences are just cover-ups with a cute name. And the more people started digging, the more disturbing it got. Fake text messages leaked, showing Stevie mocking Scrappy's career, saying things like, "You still doing local shows? And call me when your streams hit 7 digits, brr." Whether those texts are real or just the work of a talented Photoshop troll, the damage was already done. Scrappy was painted as the underdog who finally snapped, and Stevie, he became the reality villain fans suddenly loved to hate all over again. Then came the cast reactions. "Oh, baby!" Joseline Hernandez wasted no time hopping on IG Live, hair wrapped, sipping tea, shouting, "That's what he get. He been messy since '08, and y'all just now noticing?" Mimi Faust, who might as well have been taking a victory lap, commented, under a Shade Room post with a single word, "Karma," and Mama D. "Hugh, don't even get us started." She stormed onto her live with a fur coat, a fan in one hand, and pure vengeance in the other. "Ain't nobody gonna touch my baby and walk away clean. Period. I told y'all Stevie was dirty years ago." And just when you thought she was done, she pulled out her phone and started playing her own song, Yes, I Deserve. By midday, Stevie J had gone radio silent, while Scrappy's mugshot was already being turned into memes, t-shirts, and bootleg merch outside the courthouse. One shirt said "Free Die Real One" with a cartoon version of Scrappy punching Stevie mid-air. Another "Read Love and Hip Hop Mortal Kombat Edition." And the memes. Legendary. Someone photoshopped Scrappy in Street Fighter. Another made a fake UFC poster titled "Scrappy vs. Slippery J." Only one survives. The internet wasn't just watching, they were celebrating. But not everyone was laughing. VH1 executives were reportedly in full panic mode, holding emergency Zoom meetings and arguing over whether this could air or if legal would block it entirely. One assistant producer leaked a text saying, "This might be gold, but it's also a lawsuit waiting to happen." And that's where the tension really started building, because if VH1 doesn't air it, fans will riot. But if they do, they might need to hire security just to film the next reunion. As for Scrappy, he was still behind bars facing real charges, while the court of public opinion had already started delivering its verdict. The moment that arrest report leaked, the internet exploded all over again. Only this time, wasn't just jokes and memes. It was full-blown analysis, frame by frame. Breakdowns and social media detectives turning into overnight legal experts. The official police document described the altercation as a deliberate and forceful assault, stating that the defendant, Daryl Richardson, better known as LIL Scrappy, initiated an unprovoked attack resulting in visible facial injuries to the victim, identified as Stevie Jordan, aka Stevie J. But was it really unprovoked? That one word, "done provoked," set off a new wave of chaos. Because fans weren't buying it. They pulled out the video receipts, slowed the footage down, added subtitles, dissected Stevie's body language, and came up with every possible theory under the sun. One popular TikTok theory claimed you could clearly see Stevie mouthing something just before Scrappy lunged. Something that allegedly crossed the line from petty to personal. Another viral comment read, "Stevie has been playing mind games with people for years. He finally picked the wrong one." And as the footage circulated and fan theories gained steam, Scrappy's team remained dead silent. Not denying, not apologizing, just letting the storm build. Behind the scenes, however, chaos was reaching new heights. VH1 was in full damage. Control mode. Executives were reportedly split down the middle. Half of them saw the footage as ratings gold, while the other half feared lawsuits, network backlash, and FCC complaints. One producer allegedly sent a message to the cast group chat warning everyone not to comment publicly, while another insider leaked that the footage might never air. Not because of the violence, but because legal feared it would expose real criminal intent. Meanwhile, Stevie J's camp was quick to make moves. His publicist released a carefully worded statement to the press, claiming that Stevie was focused on recovery and justice, while simultaneously teasing that a civil suit was on the table. And just like that, the narrative began to shift. This wasn't just about fists flying in a nightclub. It was about money, defamation, reputation, and career sabotage. Legal analysts began weighing in. Some argued that Scrappy could face up to a year in jail if convicted. Others said it was his first offense of this magnitude and he'd likely get probation. But while the legal system worked at its slow, predictable pace, the real damage was happening online. Stevie J's comment sections were flooded with people calling him a snake, a clout chaser, a manipulator who had finally been exposed. Some fans even started digging up old clips of him gaslighting Joe's Line and Mimi, using them as proof that he'd always been the villain, just with better lighting. Scrappy, on the other hand, was being framed as a street hero, the underdog who finally stopped playing the reality game and threw a real punch for every cast member Stevie had ever crossed. And while that kind of public sympathy would usually blow over in a few days, this time it kept growing, especially once Mama D stepped back into the spotlight. If you thought her Instagram live rant was dramatic, that was just the trailer. Because Mama D wasn't just venting, she was building something. Less than 72 hours after the incident, she announced via a dramatic voiceover teaser that she was producing her own Talal documentary titled, "I Deserve the Truth Behind the Fight." The teaser featured dimly lit footage of her walking into a courtroom, Scrappy in handcuffs, and blurred images of Stevie J looking over his shoulder. The tagline, "They tried to cancel my son. Now I'm canceling the lies." That was all it took. The internet had a new queen. Commentators dubbed her the Kris Jenner of the trap, turning scandal into opportunity with ruthless efficiency. Merch dropped, pre-orders opened, a live Q&A was scheduled. Mama D was no longer just the messy mom, she was the narrative director. As for Scrappy himself, he was released on bond 3 days after the incident, wearing a hoodie pulled low over his face and flanked by 2 stone-faced attorneys, and of course, Mama D. No words were spoken to the press, but the way he held his head high and threw a subtle peace sign toward the flashing cameras was all the internet needed to turn him into a meme and a martyr. He didn't post on social media, didn't give interviews, didn't deny a thing. His silence only fueled the fire. Fans began speculating that VH1 was paying him to keep quiet, or worse, threatening him with breach of contract. One anonymous source claims Scrappy had already been quietly suspended from the next season of Love and Hip Hop, while another insider suggested his future with the franchise was over entirely. But while Scrappy was quiet, Stevie was doing the absolute most. Suddenly, Stevie J was everywhere. Interviews, podcasts, press releases, pushing the same angle that he was the real victim, that he had been sucker punched without warning, and that he feared for his life. The public wasn't buying it. One popular podcast host put it bluntly, saying, "You can't antagonize people for a decade. Call them broke to their face, then cry victim when they swing back." And the more Stevie pushed his victim narrative, the more it backfired. Even castmates who once tiptoed around him began speaking out. One former producer admitted anonymously that Stevie had a god complex. He thought he was untouchable. Scrappy reminded him he wasn't. Another revealed that Stevie had sabotaged multiple cast members' contracts in the past by leaking false info to execs. Suddenly, people who had been silent for years were ready to talk. By this point, the internet was completely divided. Team Scrappy or Team Stevie? Justice or street justice? A man defending his pride or a violent outburst that went too far? Meanwhile, VH1's public relations team issued their first and only statement. We do not condone violence in any form. We are currently reviewing footage and working closely with legal teams to determine the next steps. But it was too little, too late. Sponsors were already pulling out. A sneaker brand canceled an endorsement deal with Scrappy. An energy drink company, Stevie, was deleted all trace of him from their page. One entertainment lawyer called it a brand exodus and warned that both men were facing long-term career fallout regardless of who the public sided with. And just when you thought that chaos had peaked, another bombshell dropped. A set of screenshots surfaced allegedly showing a DM conversation between Stevie J and a VH1 producer leaked by a former assistant. In the exchange, Stevie allegedly bragged about baiting Scrappy on purpose, claiming he wanted to get a reaction for the cameras. If the messages were real, and at this point, who even knows, the entire narrative would flip. Suddenly, it wouldn't be about an unprovoked attack. It would be about manipulation, entrapment, and weaponized humiliation. The internet went wild. If Stevie really planned this, what else had he faked? How much of love and hip-hop was real? And was Scrappy the first to swing, or just the first to refuse to play the game? And darker it got. Because just when the public thought they had picked their sides and the memes had started to settle, quiet, carefully buried details slipped through the cracks, shaking the core of the entire narrative. According to a leaked email from a VH1 staffer to Network Legal, there was a private, undocumented meeting that took place 2 weeks before the brawl, involving not just Scrappy and Stevie J, but a small circle of producers and one shadowy figure, identified only as D, believed by some to be a high-level executive with a history of manufacturing drama to spike ratings. The purpose of the meeting, allegedly to stage a tension-fueled altercation that would be caught on hidden cameras for a mid-season twist no one would see coming. Only problem was, someone didn't stick to the script. The email hints that while both men agreed to a staged confrontation, things escalated when personal insults went too far, suggesting that Scrappy's attack may have been triggered by a real betrayal buried under layers of manufactured drama. But that's not even the most scandalous part, because a second leakable audio clip posted anonymously surfaced just hours later. And in it, a voice that fans quickly identified as Stevie J could be heard laughing and saying, "Don't even know I finessed that deal. Ain't no album dropping on my watch." That was all it took to send fans into a frenzy. Suddenly, everything made sense. This wasn't just a fight. It was a culmination of betrayal, business sabotage, and years of quietly boiling resentment. People began connecting dots that weren't even on the same page. One blogger resurfaced an old interview where Scrappy mentioned a mysterious, last-minute contract cancellation in 2020. Another YouTuber pulled receipts showing that Stevie J had been linked to multiple similar situations with other cast members, all of whom had watched opportunities mysteriously fall apart after crossing paths with him. By now, public opinion was shifting hard. Scrappy wasn't just a hothead who lost control. He was a man pushed past his breaking point by a master manipulator playing both sides of the game. And that theory picked up even more steam when Scrappy finally broke his silence in a bombshell sit-down interview with an underground podcast known for dragging celebrities to the brink. No fancy lawyers, no PR polish, just Scrappy, raw and unapologetic. "I ain't proud of what I did," he said, looking directly into the camera. "But I ain't gonna lie to y'all and act like I ain't been holding back for years. A difference between TV beef and real-life disrespect. Stevie crossed that line more than once. He didn't name names, but the message was crystal clear. Scrappy claimed he had been silenced before, warned to play the game or risk being blackballed. He talked about fake friendships, backdoor deals, and a culture of exploitation where producers pit cast members against each other like gladiators in a digital coliseum. It wasn't a justification, but it was an explanation. And for many fans, it was enough. The interview trended instantly. Clips were shared like wildfire. Reaction videos flooded every corner of the internet, and suddenly, the mugshot that once symbolized downfall now looked more like a badge of survival. Meanwhile, Stevie J's damage control tour was collapsing. His lawsuit, once seen as a logical next step, now looked like a cash grab. His interviews, once composed, now seemed defensive and vague. One outlet even claimed that multiple sponsors had pulled out of negotiations for his upcoming reality spin-off due to the backlash. Even worse, rumors began circulating that VH1 was re-editing the upcoming reunion episode to minimize his screen time altogether. Whether it was true or not, it became clear that the tides were turning. But then came the final betrayal. Another anonymous source, this time a former assistant to the Love and Hip pop production team, leaked internal documents showing that Stevie had been in talks with rival networks, shopping his own unsanctioned docuseries during the exact same week the fight took place. The docuseries pitch allegedly promised raw behind-the-scenes chaos and exclusive footage no other network dares to show, which, if confirmed, would be a direct violation of his VH1 contract. The betrayal wasn't just personal now, it was professional. VH1 executives were reportedly blindsided and furious. Legal letters flew. Phone calls were made. A quiet suspension followed, though no official statement was released. And in a move nobody expected, the reunion special, originally teased to be the most explosive in franchise history, was quietly canceled altogether. Cast members were informed. Via email, flights were refunded, contracts were reviewed. Just like that, the show's most anticipated moment vanished into thin air. As for Mama D, well, she was already 3 steps ahead. Her documentary, I Deserve: The Truth Behind the Fight, premiered on a small streaming platform and immediately went viral. It featured never-before-seen clips, dramatic voiceovers, had one unforgettable moment where she stared into the camera and said, "This ain't about ratings. This is about real people being played like puppets. And I ain't gonna sit quiet while my son gets sacrificed for somebody else's storyline." Her words hit like a slap across the industry's face. Critics scoffed. Fans applauded. But whether you loved it or hated it, one thing was certain: Mama D had done what no PR team could. She took back control of the narrative. And in doing so, she shifted the legacy of the entire scandal. It was no longer just about Scrappy versus Stevie J. It was about the system that created them, exploited them, and then tried to toss them aside when things got to real. In the final weeks following the scandal, both men went silent again. VH1 released a vague statement about reevaluating the direction of the franchise. Paparazzi stopped showing up. Comment sections cooled down. But for those who had followed the drama from the start, the silence wasn't peace, it was just the calm before the next storm. 'Cause now fans are asking the bigger questions. Will Scrappy ever return to reality TV? Or has this scandal permanently scorched his reputation? Will Stevie J fade into the background? Or rebrand himself as the misunderstood villain once again? And what about Mama D? Will her newfound fame push her into a new era of messy, matriarchal domination? No one knows for sure. But what's undeniable, is this what started as one punch in a dimly lit nightclub set off a chain reaction that exposed the cracks in reality television's most iconic franchise. It revealed the desperation, the manipulation, and the human cost behind the drama that millions consume like entertainment. It showed us what happens when scripted chaos spills over into real life. And it reminded everyone watching that when you spend your life stirring the pot, eventually it boils over and burns everything in its path. And there you have It's the Scandal. The slap, the silence, and the spectacle. From that viral punch to the leaked Dimes, from courtroom chaos to Mama D's documentary debut. This wasn't just a fight tight, it was a full-blown unraveling of everything. We thought we knew about reality TV, but now it's your turn to weigh in. Because let's be honest, no matter which side you're on, nobody's walking away from this clean. LIL Scrappy, a hero defending his name, or a hothead who couldn't control his temper? Was Stevie J the victim of a surprise attack, or the puppet master who finally got tangled in his own strings? And let's not forget the queen of mess herself. Did Mama D hijack a tragedy for clout? Or did she single-handedly save her sons? Legacy. Drop your unfiltered opinions in the comments. Don't hold back. We want the smoke, the theories, the hot takes. Should VH1 bring Scrappy back for one last redemption arc? Should Stevie J be banned from every reunion moving forward? And most importantly, do you think this was the biggest scandal Love and Hip Hop has ever seen, or are we still recovering from that Joe's Line studio brawl of 2015? Like this video if you live for the drama, share it with your messiest friend who loves conspiracies, and hit that subscribe button if you want the raw, uncut truth every time the tea spills. Because if there's one thing we know, it's this: reality TV may fake the drama, but the fallout is always 100% real. Stay messy, stay watching, and whatever you do, keep those notifications on because the next scandal is already brewing. And trust us, you won't want to miss it.